All right, so I'm here with Ken Pozek, and Ken and I have been working together for a little bit now. He's in Florida, and I'm in Michigan, so we're a little bit ways away. And Ken is just a real estate rock star who's killing it on social media, and he's now leading seminars and dropping knowledge bombs on people. And it's been really fun to watch him launch. But Ken was kind enough to come on and want to do a little bit of interview with him from the online coaching perspective for people who are kind of considering doing online versus in person, and just get the perspective of someone who's been doing it. So Ken, thanks first of all for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah. So first of all, just give us kind of an overview, and I'll pull up your before and after picture so far, right? Because you're still on the journey. But
I am.
so first of all, like, how long have you been doing this, and what are your results? And we talked a little bit about kind of your initial phase where you were dropping weight, and then now we've plateaued, but not plateaued. We purposely leveled you off so that we can start gaining muscle. But tell us about the initial like weight loss and all that.
Yeah, I just it was like late October of 2019, so not that long ago. It was like 5-6 months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to you because I was just, I weighed 213, and my all my clothes were super tight, and I chased around my kids. I get out of shape, and just running up the stairs, like, get our youngest daughter was like, no fun. And so I just said, hey, you know what? I need to change something. I'm only at 34, and I shouldn't be this out of shape. And then I also had gone to my doctor. My doctor's like, hey, your cholesterol is way out of shape. Your blood pressure is all jacked up. Like, you're not in a good spot. You really need to change your life. And so yeah, I reached out to you and wanted to figure out this whole process a little bit.
Which I didn't even know initially when you talked to me about doing this stuff. I didn't even know about the doctor results. That was something that came up later. Like, this was like a big health thing for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was, a lot of it was, I was like, hey, I'd love to be able to go to, like, we live in Orlando with Disney's all around here. I was like, hey, I'd love to be able to go to like Blizzard Beach or something with my kids and take my shirt off and not be embarrassed.
Yeah,
That was
right.
kind of like, kind of like step number one. But then, yeah, behind the scenes, it's like, I knew that I was going down this, health path that was not healthy. I was just eating whatever I wanted, not working out, just very sedentary in the car all the time. And so I reached out to you, and it's funny because at the time I was like, I'm not really sure if online's for me or not. I think I might want to hire somebody locally, but I know, like, you're the guy, like, I respect the crap out of you. So I need to reach out to Nate and figure out, like, what I should be looking for. And that's kind of how this started.
Mm-hmm. With that initial conversation too, what was it that, so like initially when we started talking, it was just, I'm like, hey, you're a long ways away, like, just try XYZ. And I didn't have any intention originally on you and I working together, just something that evolved over time and it made sense. But what was, like, when the first advice that I gave you, what made that manageable, and how did that kind of trigger this whole, talk us through the process of how that triggered a bigger change in you?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece was, we all say we don't have the time. And so you chunked it down for, like, you were like, all right, well, tell me what your schedule looks like, where, and I was like, I can't see where I could find in my 60-hour work week, with also being a father of 3 and married, and where I'm going to be able to find time to drive a half hour to the gym, work out for an hour, drive an hour back, half hour back, shower, get ready, meal prep, and all of this. Like, it just seemed like way too overwhelming. And so because of that, I went years and years just neglecting it. And so you were like, just, what, I think I could, just try this 15, 20 minutes in the garage. You don't have to buy anything right away. Just try this in your garage a few nights a week, and then clean up your eating here and there. You gave me a couple tips on what to do there. Nothing crazy. It was just like, hey, caloric deficit, eat less, work out a little bit, and see what happens. And then, like, after the first week, it was like 2 pounds, 1 pound. Like, you're just, like, consistently dropping. And I think, I'm down 42 pounds awesome. In like, a little over 4 or 5 months. So.
Yeah. And so I had seen too, like, in the past, you've done other forms of exercise too, right? Like, you're talking about having done cycling and stuff like that. So what was the fall off from doing that? Because there was a time chunk, right, between when you were doing that form of exercise and when you and I started working together. So what was the fall off after that? And do you think that what we're doing right now is a sustainable thing? What's different about what you're doing now?
Yeah, so probably 3 years ago, I bought a bike, and I was just, going out at night doing, like, 7 to 10 miles every night. And it was just, it became very time consuming. It was, you know, I'm going out for an hour, I'm going out doing this and trying to keep up with that. And I really wasn't losing the weight because I didn't clean up my eating.
Mm.
It was just more or less, I just was, you know, just, I felt like, hey, at least I'm moving. It's better than not moving, but I wasn't
Right.
getting any kind of results. And so I quit. And I think I did that for like 4 months and just wasn't getting anywhere. And so I'm like, you know what? And it's not, obviously this isn't working. So I'm just going to go back to what I know, which is doing nothing.
Which is a little bit easier.
It is a little bit easier. Yeah.
So for me, like so personally, in trying to figure out how I do my coaching style, I've hired a few different coaches in the past for doing nutrition. And I was always super disappointed with my experience, because my experience with working with a coach is, unless you're paying them, you know, in my arena, unless you're paying them like $1,200 a month to do stuff, you basically you check in once a week, and then they yell at you because you didn't eat your protein exactly to the gram. And then they tell you that you have to eat your protein to the gram. So tell anybody who's watching a little bit about kind of your experience with working with me. What have been the parts that you've liked? You know, do you feel like you've got support when you need it? I guess we're still working together, so I imagine you feel like it's worth your time.
Yeah.
But kind of how that may be a little bit different from you know, what I just talked about.
Yeah, I think for us, it's been like small tweaks along the way. And I think that the thing that I respect and I like so much about your program is that it wasn't like, here's a fire hose worth of stuff. It was like, hey, you know, here's something that's working. I would, you know, give you something that I thought maybe I wasn't seeing clarity on, or I didn't understand why you were asking me to do it. Or on the food side, I'm like, hey, you know, can you look through my meals? What am I doing a little bit wrong here? And it was just like these micro tweaks, you know, every week that ended up being a huge life change, right? And I think that, you know, it wasn't, you know, it came from a place of like, hey, let's work on this together. And it was very collaborative. I feel like you were very, you know, responsive through the app, and you know, getting updated workouts, you know, every 30 days or so, and tracking those results. It's been easy. I mean, like, I would have never thought that, you know, losing 42 pounds and, you know, going from, you know, like losing 4 inches around my waist and like all this other kind of stuff, like would have been like easy, right? But it's just more or less consistency over time and having that feedback from you and following the program. And it just happened.
So on that note, then there's a lot of you know, things like keto and paleo and vegetarian, like those are all popular nutrition styles. And we've talked about this before. Like, I don't have anything particularly against those styles. I just think they're really unsustainable because they require so much mental energy to stick to. I guess we'll talk about mental weight, right? You're a family man, you've got a wife, you got kids, you've got a business that you're running, you're super active. I mean, you've got brain power going out in all different directions. How does this process that we've been working on weigh on you? So like, if someone's watching this and they're in your situation, they own a business, maybe they're a real estate agent, whatever. How much extra mental weight is this on you?
I think it's so much of it's plug and play, you know. I mean, so my day looks like, I mean, I use MyFitnessPal, I plug in the macros that you've given me, and it's fairly easy to figure out, you know, how to eat cleaner. I mean, that's the cool thing. It's not keto, it's not paleo, there's not all these super restrictive kind of things. It's just like, hey, stay in these parameters and you're gonna do fine. And then at night, I have my 25-minute workout, and I just follow that path. And so in terms of mental space, it's not tough at all. It's really like helped me make better choices to where, you know, I'm out there if I'm eating out for lunch, which I'm out and about, so I do. It's really easy to figure out where am I at for my macros for the day, and then make good choices and then go from there. Like, so it's not overly restrictive. It's again, that consistency over time that I think helps you win.
You know, one of my favorite moments I think we had, and I still think about this from time to time, is the first time that you were going to, I think it was New York with your son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that, to me, that was a really cool moment that we were working through, because you were going to go and you were going to have, I think it was a bagel and something else, New York pizza and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And so you sent me a message. You're like, hey, I'm going off. I'm going to get in a double workout and a couple other things that you were going to do, basically try to ramp up your calories to make up for the food that you were going to have.
Right.
And when we were working on that, my mentality is like, we have to see where Ken's body actually is. So I'm like, don't worry about it. Just do your thing. Did that change? Did that moment change the way that you think about eating bad foods or foods that aren't totally healthy? That talk us through that.
Yeah, I think a huge piece, whether it was like that one time, we traveled to New York and we were going to go hard on some New York kind of like favorites like pizza
Mm-hmm.
and bagels and cream cheese and all that. But like one of the biggest things around that was you told me about like when people talk about cheat meals.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, making like, I think so many people have a poor concept around food and that it's like this naughty thing in
Mm-hmm.
general. And so I think, when you're making, you told me, listen, it's not a cheat meal. You're purposely choosing to have a higher caloric meal at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's part of your journey, right? You're not having a cheat day or a cheat weekend. It's like you're choosing one meal that's going to have a slightly higher caloric intake. And so it's funny when I share my cheat meal with people, they're like, "Wow, your day is still pretty. It's still okay. Like you're not like going
Right.
crazy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't need to go be a glutton for 2 days, like to feel better about myself. Like it's it is a reward for hard work, but at the same time, like my relationship with food is completely different because of sort of the journey that you've helped take me on."
What does that mean when you say your relationship with food? What was your relationship before versus now?
It was just, eat whatever you want, comfort kind of thing. Go to PF Chang's and have 1,000-calorie lunch and like, just because it made me feel good, or it made me, it tasted great. So who cares what's in it?
Uh-huh.
Like I actually care now, and I actually do pay attention to what I'm putting in my body. And again, not overly restrictive at all, but I actually care now. And so it's yeah, that's probably the biggest difference.
So okay, so we talked a little bit about like the external changes that we're talking about. So let's talk about internals for a second. So as far as you've got to be on all the time with what you do. And I would
Mhm.
love, if I can, I'd love to put some links with this video afterwards to some of your YouTube stuff, because I just think what
Yeah.
you're doing is incredible.
Thanks, man.
Um, but so as far as your brain space goes, how has exercise and nutrition and all that, how has that um, impacted anything about what you do with work or any of that stuff?
I think that a biggest piece is, I think, it helps your mind, like your mind space is obviously much clearer. But the biggest thing is like setting a goal and actually achieving it. To me, it affects everything in your life. And so like, for me, it's, being able to work hard at something, whether now it's my body, obviously I work hard at work, but like working hard on my body, seeing the results, knowing that if I put in X, Y, and Z, that I'm going to get A, B, C on the other side. Gosh, that like is so empowering, like knowing that you have direct correlation on what you're doing versus the output you have. And that just goes into everything in life, right? So it's like now I know, even more so now, that when I go to work, if I put in this work, I'm going to get X out, and I know I can do it, right? So I think it just makes you a lot more mentally strong. And going through that whole process, I think I told you the other day, I feel like, taking care of your body is going to, first is helping you. You're going to get a lot more output in your life in all other areas of life.
So in other areas of life too, so career-wise, as an example. So
Mhm.
do you feel like the changes, the physical changes that you made have, I mean, obviously physical changes, if you look at the pictures, picture I'm looking at right now, the guy before versus the guy now, like I get two different feelings when I look at the person. I think like this guy is working hard to take care of himself. So do you feel like some of the stuff you've been through has had any impact on your career? And that could be, doesn't even necessarily have to mean a monetary change, but even your like how you approach doing public speaking and or any of your online stuff. Is there any differences there for you?
Yeah, I think the confidence that's given me, like is huge. I don't have to buy clothes to fit to hide that I've got this stomach anymore, or like, like I'm calm.
Right.
I can just go out and deliver content. I can get in front of clients, and I'm just very confident now. And so for me, that affects everything that I'm doing, everything from my relationship with my wife to my work. Having that confidence, knowing that, I look good, I feel good. That's something that I've never had in my entire life.
Mm.
And so, for me now, it's exciting, man. It's definitely, it's completely changed my life.
So, all right. So, kind of coming in towards the end of this, I guess two other things I want to ask is that is there anything that you would say to someone who's considering working with me online? And is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think, if you're thinking about doing it, just commit to the process and understand that it's not like although I started losing right away, it's a journey, right? And that was one of the biggest things that I took away from our first initial conversations together. And then it's something that you hit home all the time, which is that this isn't just like hey, I'm going to drop 20 pounds and then forget it. And I think that that's what so many people do. It's committing that, hey, this is going to be my new lifestyle and it's healthier and I feel great. And this is something that I can do now forever. And it's not just like this hit it and quit it kind of thing. And so, whether you stay in coaching for 40 years or not, you don't need to commit to the process and commit to it long term. And I think in that you're going to have the right mindset and you're going to get the results. So yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time. Do you just want to throw out just real quickly what the name of your YouTube channel is and all that? Because I'm serious, I'm in no way did Ken even know that I was going to say this, but I watch all his real estate videos, even though I'm never going to buy real estate in Florida probably. Right. But what's your stuff on there?
Yeah, so it's YouTube / KenPozekTV is my YouTube channel, so check it out.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna do that. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yep.